And now, Politically Speaking with Jean Cubison.
Welcome back. I'm Nicole Gomez. Nearly everyone in our state is affected by the housing crisis. Whether through high rents or soaring home prices, many people simply cannot afford to live in sunny California. Enter Proposition 10. Voters in November will get to decide if rent control is the right solution. Prop 10 would repeal the Costa-Hawkins Rental Housing Act, which has been in effect since 1995. It would allow local governments to adopt rent control ordinances so long as those regulations don't curtail a fair rate of return for landlords. Joining me now to discuss the measure, Paula Martinez-Montes of National City Families for Fair Housing and also ACE, and Mark Powell, real estate broker for Discovery Property Group. Thank you both for being here. You obviously have different viewpoints when it comes to rent control. Mark, earlier this spring, you wrote an opinion piece about why you think rent control is not the right solution. Can you tell me why?
Rent control is an ill-advised solution to the housing crisis. Is in reality what we do have is a housing crisis. So there's several reasons why rent control will not be effective, but repealing Costa-Hawkins, what the vast majority of people don't understand is it opens up rent control to all units. So if you're a property owner, for whatever property, whether it's a condominium or a townhome or a single family home, you will now be subject to rent control. So whatever money you put into your house, maybe you've paid for 30 years, some other entity will tell that property owner how much money they can rent their house for.
Mm-hmm. Now, Paula, in addition to Prop 10, voters in National City are going to get the opportunity to vote on a local ordinance come November. Why does it make sense in National City?
Yes, rent control in National City and really all across the state makes sense because this is an immediate solution to the housing crisis. We all believe that we need more building of housing, but that takes a long time. And so being able to have the ability of local governments like the city of National City to pass rent control allows for families to not be displaced out of their homes and gives us more time really to build more down the line.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of times these propositions, they come down to basically which side raises more money. As of this week, the opponents of Prop 10 had outraised the support campaign 2-1. Mark, what do you think that this means going into November? We're still months out.
I think that in order to increase the housing supply, developers understand that there has to be some way to reduce restrictions. So they're more apt to, instead of throwing out a bill completely that was already negotiated in 1995 by Democrat Senator Costa and Hawkins, who was a Republican, they knew that if they did implement housing restrictions or rent control on everybody, it's going to decimate the building industry. So a lot of people in that industry, or especially in realtors who need an increased supply, are against just a blanket stifling of the entire real estate industry.
So recently, as of this last week, the AIDS Healthcare Foundation just pitched in $12 million in support of this proposition for rent control. I want to bring up a statement from that president who kind of talked about the reason why they threw in that much money. The greed of these billionaire corporate landlords is causing wide-scale misery for millions of Californians, and the scourge of homelessness will get much worse because the rent is too high. The California dream is dying, and only the voters can save it in November. Do you agree with that? I mean, strong words there.
Absolutely. We are not saying rent control does not stifle new construction. And we know that in cities where rent control exists, we've been building more in cities, especially in the Bay Area where we have San Francisco, Oakland, San Jose that have had rent control for a long time. We've actually seen them build more and faster. That's the same for the LA County. And so to say that rent control is going to stifle new construction is also, it doesn't make sense, and it's false to say that. The rents are too high, and people have been struggling for a really long time. What we are saying is We believe in the fair rate of return. We are not saying landlords cannot make a profit. What we're saying is that they should not be able to raise their rents $500, $600, $900 like we've seen in the city of National City. In cities like Oakland, we've seen rents doubled overnight with absolutely, no protection. And so that is exactly what we're trying to tackle here. We are just asking for more time. This is why we think rent control is effective, and it's actually going to benefit us all, including the construction industry.
Okay, we'll have to leave it right there.
Oh, but I'd have to disagree with that because, that's just not correct information. 482
Really
cities.
quickly.
482 cities in California, only 15 have rent control. All the other cities understand that rent control is a short-term Band-Aid approach to fixing a problem, which is our housing crisis.
Yeah. Okay, we'll have to leave it right there. I'm sorry, we're running out of time, but thank you both for being here.